Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Ankit Awasthi, Principal and Head New Mobility Practice at Nomura Research Institute, Consulting and Solutions. We are a Japanese consulting firm established over 50 years ago. India, we are just 11 years old today and work extensively in the automotive domain. I am honored to be here today in presence of all the industry veterans, both on the stage and off it. On the stage today, we have representation of practically the entire industry spectrum. So while Mukul introduced them already, please allow me also once to very warmly welcome our esteemed panelists, Mr. D. Karthikeyan, who is the Associate Vice President and Chief Product Compliance Officer of Product Engineering at DICV. So thank you so much, and we really hope to get some good insight from the OEM perspective from you. Mr. Anish Gopinathan, who is Global Product Head, Radar Autonomous Mobility at Continental Automotive India. A very good afternoon to you, sir, as well. Mr. Sunil Patil, who is Engineering Director at Technical Center, Hyderabad, ZF India. So I'm hoping both of you will be able to include, good deep insights from the Tier 1 vendor suppliers perspective. And we also have amongst us Mr. Nishant Kejriwal, who's Head of Computer Vision, ADAS AV Division, the High-Tech Robotics Systems. So thank you so much for taking time out and joining us today. And we do really look forward to getting, the special insights from the startup ecosystem and the service industry from you as well. So with that, I would like to start the panel discussion today, and I'll join there. The theme for today's conference is Making India a Global Hub of ADAS AD Development. And within that, the topic for today's panel discussion is ADAS AD for commercial vehicles, the role India can play. So that's how India can support the global ADAS AD market. But before we really get into that what is India's role, how we can do it, now let's first explore about the global market. And for that, let me begin with you, Mr. Karthikeyan. And so I'll request you share the OEM's perspective from what's the current market for ADAS AD in the commercial vehicle segment globally, and how do you expect it to grow over the next 5 to 10 years? And when you're talking about it, if I may request you also to, touch upon which level of automation you see growing. We heard a lot of speakers talk about it today. Would like to hear your thoughts as well. And what difference in level of adoption when we consider different sub-segments, because commercial vehicles in itself is quite a huge domain with trucks, buses, farm equipment, construction equipments. So, sir, what's your take on all of these parameters?
First of all, good evening to all of you, and then thank you, Mobility Outlook team, for inviting us for this panel discussion. And then straight away, let me go to the question what has been asked. So there are two parts of it. One is the ADAS, the other one is autonomous driving. So if I take the ADAS part first, so globally, the ADAS market is going to be in the range of say $63 billion. If I say that, today it stands at about $30 billion. So the compounded average growth is around 9.6 to 10%. And when I touch upon this, then it is not only about commercial vehicle, it is about the complete passenger, light commercial vehicle, heavy commercial vehicle, trucks and buses including. And the majority of the portion is shared by the passenger cars and the light commercial vehicles. And going forward, what's going to happen is, like for example in Europe, the ADAS technology is being adopted mainly by the consumers because safety is of prime importance. And then the most awareness that has been created by the market, the customers or consumers are aware of the market, so which means that safety is of prime most importance. And this is how the technology is going to be in the market. And when I said about this 9.7% growth, if I split this into regions globally, the majority of the share on the growth is going to come from Asia Pacific region, followed by Europe, and then it will be North America. So most of the things are going to be from Asia Pacific. If I say China is going to lead this market, and then South Korea and the other entities are going to be part of this growth for the next 10 years. And I would like to touch something about safety before I answer the further questions. Like for example, safety is of prime most important, and we at DICV always be at a competitive advantage in terms of giving safety to the customers. So if I could remind you all that we are the one who first introduced the safety cabins in the market, and then today I can proudly say that the only OEM which has an ECE R2903 version of the cabin. So why I am touching cabin and ADAS now is, see, the driver safety is related to cabin and the features that we give in the cabin. And when there were some discussions about ADAS system, in 2017, we introduced the driver state monitoring system in the vehicle for India. And since 2017, it is running fine in the market, and we could get many insights from the region, so which will help us to develop the scenarios for the European markets or any other market. Coming back to autonomous driving. So today, I think already it is said that how many trucks has been running without driver. So we don't have anything today officially. So it is expected to be 1.2 million in 2032. So per year it will be 1.2 million in 2032. So starting from now, 10 years down the line, it will be 1.2 million. And here again, the share of this is going to be taken mostly by China, followed by Europe, and then North America. So 20% of the market in 2032 will be autonomous driving vehicle. And when you see that, out of that, around 38 to 40% will be from China, 26% to 27% will be from Europe, and around 29% from North America. Now, switching from India to global perspective, we at Daimler Truck, you also would have seen this, the Freightliner Cascadia, which is a Class 8 truck, which is the heavy commercial vehicle. We have indigenously developed the autonomous vehicle, and then it is also going to come. So we strongly feel that the global market is going to be driven by ADAS and autonomous driving. And when you talk about the adoption of technology, whether it is level 3, level 2, level 4, I would now say that first of all we have to be at level 2 and level 3, and then going forward with the data that is coming from the level 2 and level 3 autonomous driving from the market, then the level 4 adoption and the level 5 adoption would be thought about. So as of now, I see there is a potential for level 2 and level 3, and then slowly it will get further more, and then we can get more insights. From there, the technologies also will be evolved, and by the time the regulators also will have the regulatory bodies what is need to be followed. So based on that, level 2, level 3 would be the prime path now, and then slowly it will be level 4 and then level 5 adoption. And one more thing to why this is also increasing is because, see, in North America, the Tractors Association have already predicted that there will be 200,000 drivers will not be available for job in future. So if there are 200,000 drivers are not available, then where we will find such drivers for driving such a truck? And also, very scanty resources available for taking up this job. This is also an indication that we as a stakeholder in this environment has to decide something to make sure that the life of the driver in the cabin, that he is safe, and then he is going back to his home with safe hands. At the same time, he is not having fatigue in the vehicle. So it gives two perspectives. One is there is no driver, so which can be pushed towards autonomous driving, but at the same time, there is a dire need now that we have to work on driver's life. So in that sense, we need to really support with technologies in terms of driverless or advanced driver assist system so that he can be comfortable when he is in the cabin. Because I would always say that the second home is truck cabin. The first home is home, but the second home is truck cabin because if you take India, I don't know, most of the time he will not be in his home, but he will be only in truck. So then the amount of engineering and the amount of technology and the solution that has to go into the driver's cabin should be high in terms of safety for him. So when we keep him in safe environment, then he can make sure that the vulnerable road users, pedestrian, bicyclists, everyone can be in safe environment.
Right. No, absolutely. And I really appreciate you bringing out the point of safety so strongly. Early in the day today, also we heard Raman San very strongly speaking about safety. And we all know Daimler DICV has been at the forefront of safety for a very long time. In fact, early in the day today, I was speaking with Nishant, and he also touched upon how, as you said, sir, back in 2017, when people were no one was considering safety, DICV was the one who first spoke about the driver cabin safety requirements of the drivers and how that's extremely important. So thank you so much, sir, for sharing insights. And just building onto those thoughts, let me take this conversation a little to the supplier side and take inputs from our other panelists, Mr. Anish and Mr. Sunil. So, sir, what do you think in terms of the global trends? What products and solutions would be coming up, and what sort of adoption of ADAS do you see, both from global perspective? Sir also spoke about difference in, say, China leading it, followed by Europe and North America. What are your views on this, sir?
First of all, thank you for being this wonderful part of one day session and allowing us to share our perspective from the industry. So regarding your question, we are closely working with global OEMs. So from a supplier perspective, I would say there are 3 different global trends emerging. Compared to the PV industry, there is a fair chance that the commercial vehicle industry can leapfrog to L4 level much faster. So this is a really clear trend we understand from the industry. There are new business models, revenue generation streams are being talked about. We are working with even Silicon Valley players regarding that. So it seems the next 2-3 years would be kind of a golden era for making into that setup, especially because of specific reasons what Mr. Karthikeyan told, like the availability of drivers, and also this is predominantly in the highways. So the autonomous mobility challenges mainly are city-based, but in the trucking industry, these challenges can be avoided. So the point A to B, the logistic hub A to B kind of transportations. So these are being talked about really in a very good way. So this makes us believe that it can leapfrog into L4, maybe skipping the L3. So that is one thing. Secondly, from a legislation perspective, as you know, the global safety regulations in Europe and multiple other regulations are actually pushing the volumes up. So there are different inquiries from OEMs continuing our existing products, maybe even 10-year-old products, into the production, maybe 4 more years, 5 more years, etc. So there is a clear volume gain, upping up the production, which means indirectly for the suppliers. For example, if we conceive a product from the drawing board, there itself we are understanding the demands of the CV industry. So earlier it was like, okay, we do something for the PV. The thought process is always for the passenger vehicles, and then maybe make changes for the CV. But that's not the case now. For the next generation products, new products, always the thought process is also keeping the specific hurdles of CV in mind, be it the mounting, aesthetics, specific algorithms, use cases like VR use, etc. So this means the entire supplier industry is really bullish on the CV space. So this is what I can really share. And regarding India, we have some interesting proof of concepts discussions with the CV players. Let's say in passenger vehicle space, more or less we adapt the European functions, etc., use cases here. But here, the CV players are much more, I would say, really focused on the India solutions. What specifically we can do for India, and they are going for proof of concept and then making it sure it works, etc., etc. And a clear trend of cost downing. For example, the cost of the sensors or the components are really going down, which makes it affordable for India in the near future. And already I think it's affordable. I hope this is clear.
Thank you so much, sir. And before I ask Sunil sir to share his comments, I would really want to highlight, as earlier in the day, we were talking about, Raman San spoke about that the technology will now come from the suppliers and the startups. And I could sense that in Mr. Gopinathan's comment when he said, the suppliers are really bullish, and we are going to leapfrog directly to L4 and L5. And I surely think that CV space, particularly, as you said, in the highway segment, it's a little different from passenger vehicles. Maybe we can actually do that. So really glad to see that very strong positive sentiment, sir. Sunil sir, your thoughts on what kind of products, solutions, and what levels of ADAS AD you're going to see globally and in India?
Yeah, so globally, whatever Mr. Karthikeyan explained, I agree with that, and also with Anish. So basically, the global scenario is mainly driven from the general safety regulations, which are now coming and updated, which the vehicles starting from 2024 needs to comply to some of the ADAS features. So that trend globally started, and basically the features like AEB, then CMS, driver monitoring systems, and those are mainly expected in these vehicles as per the GSR. And I think soon, I also understand from India's situation, mostly we will follow some of those regulations also in India. And as of course, L2 will be a potential for commercial vehicle. But I agree with Anish also that in the tier ones are more inclined in the commercial segment, especially for the level 4 solution. I agree with you. And that even we are also discussing on the mobility business, basically for the public movers. Basically, because that is the use case where we can realize and give a benefit to the society quicker compared to the passenger vehicle side. So we are also focusing on public mover kind of an application for L4 kind of systems, and that's the work right now going on. And from the India side, as Karthikeyan mentioned, so definitely, and Anish also mentioned, the Indian OEMs are driving, some of the scenarios which are very, very specific to region here, and the region behavior or region, the product what we have, like the trucks, especially the geometry also, and the truck capacity is one thing, but what is there inside is totally different. So the kind of deacceleration and all these things we have to meet, we have to tune our systems to our requirements. We'll follow certainly global standards, but some of the requirements which I think local OEMs will define, and we are working with them, as Anish said, to fine-tune our products from the tier 1 side. Yeah, that's my contribution. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Before we move on to the next question, Karthikeyan, your thoughts on the such strong bullish comments from our suppliers?
Yeah, thanks for asking that question. See, now it's not technology will be driven only by OEM. So we have to accept that the technology is available everywhere. And then in an environment like this, not only for India, for global as well, we should try to maximize the potential in terms of collaboration and then co-create with them. And I would still say it is two sides of coin. Supplier alone cannot develop technology because at the end it has to be fitted on the vehicle. and then how this has to be given to the society. So in that case, supplier has to develop technology at the same time that has to be put on the vehicle, and then validation strategy has to be decided jointly with the OEM. So it's good that if the supplier base is coming like that on these kind of technology, then the OEMs can focus on something else and then take these technologies which are available and then adapt it to the vehicle. So I see most of the technologies that are related to the ADAS or the autonomous driving is purely driven by the supplier base, and from there we adapt it to the vehicle technology. Maybe there are specific softwares. If at all there is some compatibility to a specific vehicle, then it has to be married with the vehicle software and the supplier components. But it is good that if more and more push is coming from the supplier base for these kind of technologies, I would expect that the cost of those technologies will be at an affordable price for the Indian scenario. And the theme is about how India can play globally. So if we can develop such system from India, then definitely there is a possibility it is not only make in India for India, it is make in India for global. There is still a possibility of doing that. So we should all be proud in that way. If such technologies are emerging from India, and then we could collaborate more with different stakeholders and then make India as a global hub for ADAS development, and then send products from here to globally, then I think as everyone who is sitting in this dais or in this room can feel proud that what contribution that we can make globally from India, rather than looking from the perspective of our own business and then our own community.
Absolutely, sir. And thank you so much for introducing the core topic now. So having established that the ADAS AD market in the CV segment and in general rather is poised to grow at about 10% CAGR, and we are hoping for about 1.2 million trucks on road autonomous by 2032. So it surely is a very strong business potential. And on that now, so as you've mentioned, we should look at how India can support not just India but globally. So I'd like to now bring in the angle of the technology development, if I may. And if you look at India and our core strengths, especially in the IT services sector, India is a very well-known powerhouse. Earlier in the day, I think Mr. Vijay Raj from Marelli had, one of the audience in the question had raised this topic about the various GCCs being set up in India, which are supporting these multinational companies, especially in the automotive sector. So how can these various technology and IT firms and startups can support the development of required technology, products and services solutions which are needed by ADAS and AD systems? And for this, let me invite Mr. Kejriwal, Nishant, to share his views on how well do you think India is poised to take up the technology and software development needed for these ADAS and AD offerings?
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. First of all, thank you for the invitation to this important discussion on ADAS and AD. I think ADAS and AD systems heavily rely on the emerging and new age technology like computer vision, AI, robotics, machine learning. And there is, there is a recent aggressive adoption of these technologies in global markets as compared to India. Although recently, like commercial vehicles in India are having L0, L1 level of system, while passenger vehicles have, like in the morning we were having discussion that up to L2, L3, MG Motor is providing these solutions. So with these adoption rate, there are many startups and the companies in India and also some of the global players has started building solutions which are specific to India. Now when we say these solutions specific to India, there are a lot of challenges. For example, people have been talking about that we do not have infrastructure, like there are no lanes available on the road. I will give you a different perspective here. See, 95% of the Indian road do not have lanes. Does that mean that these ADAS system will only be ready when we have lanes. So I think we should try to solve these problems from a technology point of view. For example, I mean, at high-tech robotics, we are doing like concepts like virtual lane. I mean, if you can build a technology which is India-centric, which is trying to solve the local problems, and that will make the adoption faster, and rather we will not wait for the infrastructure to get ready. We have been talking about Indian-specific objects like animals moving across Indian roads, even on highways, odd-shaped vehicles, thelas, and all. There are many scenarios in India. So how we have solved this problem is, first of all, our technology is being developed, by collecting data of over 5 billion kilometers of Indian roads across India, but still we think that that, let's say, only 90% of the cases are covered. Now, there are many edge cases. When we say the edge cases, there are certain cases that we think, okay, this may be edge case where we have to define the strategy of how the AD system will work. But there are many edge cases which even we forget about. I mean, as a human, we forget when, how we have adopted during that driving. So we need to have a technology which is continuously learning. That means concepts like active learning needs to be introduced in these systems. They are not just self-learning, but they are identifying these edge cases, relearning. I mean, the models are getting relearned, and they are adapting to the situations, and they are evolving in terms of performance. We have talked about AEB systems. I don't know how effective they have been in the passenger vehicles because we have not yet monitored their performance. But for AEB system to work, I mean, as a human, when you always do intent prediction of each road user. I mean, when you are driving on a road, you are doing, you have a braking strategy for animals differently. You have braking strategy of two-wheelers differently. You have braking strategy for a auto wala differently. Now, have we developed strategies keeping these things in mind? That needs to be taken, because adopting technology and just minor fine-tuning will not help in solving Indian scenarios. We need to focus on a lot of R&D which solves actually Indian-specific scenarios. And it's just not scenarios, it's the entire technology change. So, and the framework of developing these technology, these solutions into India-specific has to be in place so that you don't fall into the trap of that, okay, our systems were not ready and we just adopted the Western system. Coming to the R&D part, it will take a lot of R&D efforts. And I think if we can develop an ADAS and AD system for India, it will be truly global in nature. Coming to the global powerhouse point of view, from software point of view, I think we have a good set of academic institutions in terms of IITs and IITs, and they have been realigning their curriculum for these technologies, and which is a very good thing. And we have a continuous pipeline of the skill set that is continuously coming to the industry. Second is, I think, in terms of advantage, we have a cost advantage in terms of software development and the engineering services. So these two key things, and the adoption or the new age companies coming up to solve these problems will definitely make India a global powerhouse for ADAS and AD systems. And we can play an instrumental role in developing these technologies, and which can be actually exported, as Mr. Karthikeyan was mentioning, that we can become leader in these technologies. And it will not be, I'm not considering it a 5-year timeline, rather it can happen very, very, very early.
Thank you so much, Nishant. So I think the key takeaway from that for me is, if you can solve for India, right, you can solve for the world. India offers you the perfect test ground for all sort of scenarios. And if we can have a robust development, R&D, and catering of all the various scenarios which exist here, we'll most certainly be able to do it for the world, and that automatically will help us enable to support the global requirements. Sunil, let me pass the same question to you. You head the technical center in Hyderabad for ZF, so I think you are also very well positioned to talk about what is that we are doing in India, what is our capabilities, and what's needed. Sir, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, some of the points Mr. Jagidar has covered. So, as addition to that, basically, if you see the technical centers of particularly automotive from tier 1 or OEMs, which are in India, they are playing key role in bringing these technologies to all the global projects also. So most of the global projects are supported from India, and now that capability we can use here to localize as Karthikeyan expecting, and this technology we can bring here. The skills sets are developed here, and the uniqueness of these capability centers in India, if you see, the tier 1, the organization, if you see, and the ADAS, when we talk about ADAS, it's not a single component. It's not single. It starts from see, think, and act. Okay. So that means it has sensors, multiples, then it has multiple logics, and actuators, if you see, it has to control lateral and longitudinal movement, both sides. So if you see tier 1s are still organized as a product line wise. For example, in my case also, steering is developed somewhere else. Braking is developed somewhere else. ADAS is developed somewhere else. But if I am from GCC or I am from technical center, in one house I have all this capability. So the understanding of the complete vehicle level requirements or the ADAS requirements, such as AEB applications, is developed in India very fast, and that is appreciated well by our, the parent companies. That the knowledge that we have developed here of the complete system is useful here, and that is again we can bring it to OEM in India to launch these products and help them to as a we can act like as a system integrators also from here. So that is the capability developed here in India centers, and it is not only software. If you are attending sessions from the morning, there are various technologies involved. Not only the microcontroller, that's also part of that SoC and all these things. But apart from that, you must have heard AIML. That is also required for such kind of applications. Then cloud technologies. Then HPCs, the high performance computing system. So those capabilities are also already developed here, So, and those capabilities definitely we are leveraging to support all the global programs, and also we can leverage that to bring this technology to the Indian consumers also, Indian OEMs. That's from my side.
Thank you very much, sir. So Nishant, you spoke about the advantage of the talent pool we have from the IITs and NITs. You also spoke about the cost competitiveness. I'm assuming it's from the resources point of view. Earlier, Anish has spoken also about the cost competitiveness in terms of the components and the sensors costs going down. So we've been hearing a lot of positive sentiments, what we can do. But what about the hurdles? Is there something which is holding us back, right? From say the software point of view, or as Sunil was saying, not just software, but also from the technology development, the hardware point of view. So your thoughts on that, Nishant, and I'll pass this question along because I think we would need a perspective from all the different elements to really figure out if there is something which is holding us back, and what can we do together to overcome that and really become that powerhouse we wanted to be.
I think I'll put 2 points which are relevant, at least from my side. One is, so see, many of the companies in this ecosystem are quite new, and when the new age companies are very focused on certain specific areas only. I'll take an example of an AEB system. So for example, an AEB system requires, entire perception technology, sensor fusion, computer vision, taking braking into the ecosystem, functional safety, and many things. While everything, I mean, the new age companies may not be focused on all the aspects of these technologies. They may be, let's say, for example, they may be, you know, developing a very good technology in perception, in the sensing of the environment. Now, but when it comes to the deployment, they'll need to integrate it with, you know, some of the braking, let's say, providers. Now, to develop this ecosystem, or let's say co-create this entire product, you need to partner with them. You need to, you know, have partnership with the braking service, braking providers, and also, you know, then provide the entire product to the OEMs. So we need to develop this. I mean, I know. I mean, there are partnerships and the developments already happening. But for the new age companies, I think we need to co-create with them wherever, let's say, new startups are coming. Whoever is developing, let's say, something very unique and disruptive, because whenever new age companies comes up, they either try to fill the gap through innovation, or they challenge the status quo through disruption. So if we can promote such technology innovation and even with and partner with them and deliver it to the final consumer or the customer, it will help in the adoption of this technology much faster as compared to traditional timelines that we have. Second important point is from a regulation and infrastructure point of view, I think there is, as you mentioned, you know, there have been discussion on, you know, that we have an upcoming, I mean, there are standards being already drafted for AEB, for example, for driver monitoring.